Right, let's look at this. Okay, I'm already getting errors here. Java FX is not a recognized dependency. Okay, a
I
pair.
didn't use any Java effects, did I?
You used a library from JavaFX called a pair, which I
Oh, the pair list. I thought that was just a standard library. Pair list.
no.
Java. Let me open it on my end. So we just...
That's okay. I can still figure out what's going on. So list of pair of string string. Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So
So it's like a index almost. It has a key
yeah,
and
yeah, I see.
a
So
value.
okay. So this is the pair list. First of all, naming wise, instead of like, usually we don't want to call this a pair list because we can usually work that out from the kind of the types. So we see this as a pair, we see this as a
Yeah.
list, right? So what I would prefer to know with this like is actually what's being stored in here. So I can inference it in this example, because I assume it's something to do with the companies, right? But so company countries,
Are
something like
you
that.
supposed to be sharing a screen right now?
Oh, is it not sharing?
No, it's not sharing.
Okay,
I was a little confused.
let me try that.
Yeah. Oh, it does have Java effects on the. Yeah, it's a Java effect. Huh. Do you not have the Java effects
I
library?
do not.
Oh.
Okay, I'm now sharing. Is this better?
Yeah, that's it.
So first of all, yeah, I would kind of look to rename this something other than
Yeah.
so it's basically describe. So as far as I can see, this is probably going to be like company countries, right? I imagine that
Yeah.
the pair is
Well, the pair has both. That's why I chose
yeah,
that
exactly.
sort
So
of
so the
list.
pair has a company and a country.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Because I was struggling. I was trying to use hash maps,
yeah,
um, and I was like always getting to this point where I'd have two separate values, but they weren't connected anywhere. But
yes.
with the pair, they were always in like an index together.
Okay, yeah.
Like,
So the way hash maps work is basically when I have a map. It's being so slow. It's very frustrating. Um, so
I tried so many different maps. I used like a tree map and all
yeah,
these different ones because the tree one automatically like orders it.
yeah, it automatically sorts
Then
it. Yeah,
the issue I was having was I wanted to use the countries as the key, but the key
yes,
always has to be unique, and that's something
yes,
I learned.
yeah, yeah. So I think you're on the right track though. So yeah, the key has to be unique, and if I try and insert a new key, then it just overrides that value, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is the right way to do it because if we have a tree map, as you said, then the countries will be implicitly ordered by the key, which is how we want it, right? We want them grouped and ordered by the countries. So, but instead, and I see what you mean. So if you have like example, put, England. I'm gonna see if I can change the quality on Discord because this is making my computer so slow.
Yeah, that's great. I imagine if you're recording it as well, it's gonna
Yeah.
also add to it.
Um, how would I do that? Settings, I imagine. I'm not sure how I can do that. Oh, here we go. You said it at the start. There we go. So it's going to be a lot lower quality, but
That's fine.
hopefully it.
Background.
Okay. So England and then company name, right? And then if I were to insert company name 2, it's going to just override that value. So what we can actually do here, and you can see my IntelliJ is even flagging that up. It's like, oh shit, what are you doing, dude? So what we can actually do is we can change this string here to a set and then of strings.
Yeah.
And once we do this, we have then got like, we can't do it this easily, right? We can't just do example map put blah blah blah. But what we can do is then every time we put a new company in, it will basically have, this will always be, this will always be country. And then here we would have, company 1, company 2, and then we're implicitly already like ordering by the country. And if we want to get further into it, so a tree map is always ordered, right? Because things are stored in, I think they use red and black trees, but that's kind of unimportant. But we can also have tree sets. Now, a tree set is also always ordered, right?
Yeah.
So if I wouldn't specify it here for reasons I can go into later on. But if this is a tree set inside it, I mean, we'll keep it as a set because these are like the interfaces, right? Map and set are the higher level interfaces, and we want to keep it at this level. So when we declare a map, we can then swap out a tree map or a hash map, and then we don't have to change it everywhere.
Okay.
But if we have a tree map and then a tree set, we have first of all of the countries ordered by all of the countries grouped together because we have this set referencing every company that uses that country, and then we're ordering the map already by the country name.
Okay.
And so that's already done, and then inside of that we want to order them alphabetically inside, obviously, and so that can be done in this set. So I'll leave this here for now, and I won't keep going back to this critique because when obviously you've built your code in one way, and I'm going to critique it how you built it, and if I keep saying this would have solved that problem, then it's just going back and forth, and I don't really think we're
No, but it's still useful to because I did mess around with sets for a while, but I was struggling to understand them because when I was doing the maps, I was doing getting the entry set which had all the key values. And then I was trying to use a comparator on that. But I got really confused, and then with the pair list, it just made a lot more sense to me.
No, I think the pair list that does actually work because what your pair is essentially is, right, is you have a pair here and you have company. It's basically pair and then company name, company country, all the other way around, right? But you're just storing these two values, and that's why you're using a pair. And I think what we could have done is instead another option here, which is a bit simpler, is instead of using a pair, we just create a new basic Java object.
Okay.
And then we call it company.
Yeah.
And then in company, we have...
Can we just pause 2 seconds? Can you up the quality by 1? Because I can't read the text.
I can zoom in.
If you zoom in, it might help.
Have I got that setting enabled? Yeah.
Oh yeah, if you zoom in, that's now I can read it because it was just a whole.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, cool. I'll remember that. And I also get to see that nice font rendering. Okay. Okay. So then I can just add a constructor. So we're just adding like a simple Java object, right? There's a word for this. It's called. I'll put this at the top. So a plain old Java object, also known as Pojo.
Oh, that's like an okay.
Yeah. So inside we're not having anything fancy, we're just having a constructor to pass values in. I'm going to select both of them. I don't know if you're using IntelliJ or if you're using...
Yeah, I'm using IntelliJ.
So these are super useful because you can just fucking generate this default code for you over and over again. Right? And then what I can do here is instead of having a pair of blah blah, I can have just a pair of company.
Yeah,
and then it's, and then I can just call it... Companies.
Can you zoom in on that syntax a little, just so I can read it? Thanks. Oh, I see. Yeah, grand.
Yeah. So that's another way we could have done it.
So is that literally the only parameter that pair list would need would be the country object?
Well, yeah, that's because that's like essentially what's happening in this instance is when we have a sort of a pair string. This is essentially the same as a company, right? Because the company has two methods for get company name. It has those two fields of company name.
Yeah.
And company country. And company name, and it's just more explicit because then instead of having a pair, I can just say, okay, what's in I can see. Oh, we have these two things, and then. So that'll be another way of approaching it that I think is more. But yeah, as I've mentioned, so one thing I want to touch on briefly that maybe you could look into a bit deeper in your own time is, so you were getting a bit confused with sets, maps, and lists, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, Java has these three like top level collections, right? So there's this class called collect. I'll actually just show you. So if I just go to collection, this is a Java interface, right? And don't worry about too much about understanding everything, but collection, this is what all Java sort of data structures are based off for the most part. So if I look at collection, then, there's a million results here, of course. But I can then go into our three top level ones, which list is the one you're probably most familiar with, right? And then from list, a list is basically an ordered set of items that allows duplicates.
Okay.
So we're storing whatever this is called a generic, right? So we put in, you could say that this is a pair, or you could say, I can't write in that file, of course, it's decompiled. But yeah, you could say that list is a pair, or it's a company, or it's a string. So we're just having a list of these things means that the values are not unique, basically. And if we're using an array list, it also means we can access them in a certain order. I won't go too much into the specifics, but so that's the reason. That's why we'd want to use a list, is we want to have multiple items that can repeat, and then we can get into a set. So a set is basically, I wonder if it actually says that here. Oh, Joshua Block, that guy wrote some books. Anyway, this is, here we go. It even says it here. A collection that contains no duplicate elements. So a set is basically an unordered just collection of items that are unique. So for example, if I were to create a set string, is this large enough?
One bigger would be a bit better. Yeah, that's a little bit better.
Yep. Then I were to do set add test, and then I would add test again. Set.size would equal 1. So I can add as many as I want to it, but it will just only store the unique value. So it's basically, and because of this, sets also, we can't usually, this is one of the issues people have with them. I can't do set.getZero because there's no order.
See, that was one of the issues I was having.
Yeah.
Which is why I went with the pairless
Yeah.
in the end, because it did have like an index.
Yeah, exactly. So what we can do with sets is we can go over them in fors. So this allows us to access any item of a set, but it doesn't, like, the logic's hidden inside of this, right? We can't just get 0 unless we have a tree set, in which case we can, because in a tree set things have to be ordered as you seem to be aware, which is, well, that shouldn't be changed. That should actually just be set, and then we can have set. I don't actually remember. Is it first or top? Oh, iterator. There we go. But regardless, when you have a tree set, and I do set.for, I'll be going through these. Like they're still not indexed, but I'll be going through them in the order of whatever the comparator is, so alphabetically in this instance. And finally, we have a map. And the map is, as you've seen, it's just two generics. So we have a key and a value. This can be whatever you want. This can also be whatever you want. And this is like, in this instance, is kind of I mean, it's not like a pair, but in a sense that it's just storing like two correlated values essentially. So
are they correlated? That's the thing I was struggling with, was finding a way to have the data still correlated.
Yeah.
When I was like outputting it after sorting it.
So the key is always correlated with the value. Like when I use a map, string. right, basically, these two values are always associated. So key and right, these two are associated until I either remove both of them or I insert a new value, in which case this value is no longer associated with this because it's being overwritten.
Okay.
Okay, so now that's good. I can send you some more stuff, but this is like really important. I think this is like what a lot of where a lot of code improvements can come from is using the right structure in the right moment. But I won't dwell on that any further. So let me get a bit further into the code. So methods. Okay.
Yeah, I wrote the code all in one class, which is really bad practice. And then I was like, oh, I'm gonna separate the stuff I could into individual classes.
Yeah.
Kind of clean it up. And then this one was easy enough because it's just creating a file if it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Okay, I see. Again, it's kind of the naming convention. I think I know what you're getting towards. Like this is, I think we could. This is something called like a util class, basically, where methods isn't. Every class is either like it's a collection of methods, right? That's what classes are. Like, so instead of calling it methods, let's call it file util, something like that.
Or like, say if I manage, because the while loops I've got later on to read it in the code and then output the code, I was trying to put those in a class, but I couldn't really work out to do it. So I do that as like file processing or something like that, right?
Yeah. Okay.
That would be a good class.
Yeah. So file util, and it seems like what's happening here is it's basically we don't have any state in this class, right? We don't have like private string name or everything is like everything that the file needs to do its processing, it receives through the parameters. So what we can actually do is we can make this something called a static class. I don't know if you're familiar with this. Obviously, like the names come up, but what exactly it is maybe unclear.
Yeah, I know static variables and stuff.
Yeah.
But
so basically, what static means is a static object or a static method is not associated with I shouldn't say static object, a static field. It's not associated with an instance of the file util, but it's associated with the abstract file util itself. So it's associated with the file util class without having to create an instance. So I'll just quickly change. There's a little bit of naming convention in Java. We keep things camel case. I know you've been working with C++ recently. So
yeah, I noticed that earlier on. I was doing the underscore and then having that name convention.
Exists, delete, output, create file. Yeah, that all seems pretty reasonable. Please explain what the fuck IntelliJ means. No? I see, okay. So, but basically, you see these messages here, like, if I hit Alt-Enter, IntelliJ is going to give me options. We've got our inspection settings right now, where it's saying there's a warning because delete actually, from our perspective, delete's doing what we want it to do, but I believe delete should return a boolean or an integer. Yeah. So delete returns a boolean, which basically says if delete was successful. So if we actually go into delete, you can see it returns if and only if the file or directory is successfully deleted, then so return true if the file is successfully deleted, false otherwise.
I see.
So we don't have to do anything with it here. So when you hit Alt Enter, basically. IntelliJ must have automatically added something to try and get rid of the warning. But
I went for the IntelliJ clean up my code process, and it was flagging that as a potential bug, and I wasn't sure what it meant, but now I understand what you mean. If I was making a piece of software, would that be a big deal to leave it?
No, not really. I mean, I had this at work the other day, actually. It's like there's lots of automated tools that will flag this. Realistically, from our perspective, maybe we should, ultimately, it probably is better practice to just have was deleted. And this isn't applicable here, but let's say we had some sort of logging, but then we could pass it to the logger and then someone else would be able to look at it in the future. We could say that file cannot be deleted.
Okay.
Or you could, if it was more important that it was deleted, then you could, so I'm just quickly writing this out. If it's really important that it was deleted, then we could have we could throw an exception, we could stop the flow, but in this instance, I think what you did was basically fine. So I would just, but that's some way we could handle it, basically.
Yeah, it's good to know though. I think I'd try make sure that there's less of them as there can be.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, so that's been cleaned up a lot now. We'll have to go back because file util. Now we don't need to create this instance of file util because it's static.
Okay.
So we can actually just do, this is the whole purpose, right? Because it's not tied to an instance, we can just do file util, file check.
Oh, nice.
And then it will call it. And there's even, here's a little tip, maybe this is too much detail, but if you want to make it so, for example, you have a class with only static methods, and you want to make sure you don't accidentally instantiate it, or someone else doesn't accidentally create an instance of it, you can do something called creating a private constructor.
Okay.
And what this means is, because it's private, the constructor can only be called inside of the class. So if someone tries to create a new file util, it actually doesn't let you do it, right? Because you have this error here.
Yeah.
Which is saying file util has private access. So that way you can ensure it's only used as a private class.
Okay, cool.
A static class, which is, yeah, again, maybe that's too much detail because we just introduced those, but I'll leave that there anyway.
Still good to know.
Okay, so I'm already a little bit scared by the name of these variables, but I guess we'll see how those are used later on. Split another good sort of practice is wherever you first, like, you shouldn't declare a variable ideally until you use it. So you minimize the. I remember there's a name for this specifically, but it's like minimizing the distance between declaration and use, because then it's very clear. Like so.
It makes sense, yeah. In uni, they taught us to put it all at the top.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there's different. This is like a practice thing, but I think ultimately most people will agree that it's not.
It makes more sense to me. Like later on, I have to declare stuff at certain points anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, input. I'll just quickly change the naming convention here. Input file. Output file. Buffer reader. Ah, yeah. I like the syntax. Split string. Due to the fact some columns. Yes.
Yeah, some of the company names have a comma in them, so I had to split it using the regex, just so it didn't pick everything out.
Okay. Split string. Yes, we should actually. We don't need to, because this isn't the while loop, right? This is going to be every time we iterate, we're going to be creating this regex string.
Okay.
So we could just. This is actually something we can move out of the declaration, because this is like a static declaration, right? We only need to declare this once.
Yeah.
So we can put that up here. And then, as you've done in the right practice here, private static. This is the final for the structure for constants, right? When we have constants, we name them like companies, as you did, I believe, which is good. So CSV again. I'm just making it something a bit CSV delimiter. Split the barrel string into two strings via the CSV. Pair. Yep, okay. That's pretty good, but I think what we should also do is, just to make this a bit clearer, because right now, especially, like, if this was a company, for instance, if we had this new company, or caps lock, and we had, because we have a constructor here, so we can see what each thing does, right? So if I were to do column 0, and then column 12, it might be a little bit more obvious in this instance, because I can see that company name is column 0 and column 12 is company country. But here, we don't exactly know what is what, because it's just a pair, right? That's, again, I won't dwell on it too much, but that's kind of one of the issues. So what we could do is, if we wanted to use this structure, we could introduce a constant here. So we could call this company. Is this country or name? 0. I think it's
name then country.
Yeah. Okay, so company name index. Right? So then we know that anyone working on this in the future knows that the company, that's why you're getting that column, because the company name index is, and the same here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Company, country.
I think it'd help me as well, just reading it.
Yeah, like, exactly. Well, that's the thing, right?
I know it, but if someone else were to read it, they have no clue.
And code is read way, for the most part, way more than it's like written, right? We write code.
Yeah.
Amount of tuples. Companies have a counter to provide.
Yeah. So later on, I decide how big the indexes in my string array need to be by counting the amount of tuples that was read in by the file reader.
Yeah. Okay. It seems like we can achieve this, I think, by we could do companies.size, right? Because we're adding the company here. So, like, every time we add a company, we're also doing this. So because those two actions are coupled, when we do companies.size, we should get this value.
Oh, okay.
Because these things always have, there's no conditionals here, right? There's a term called path, right? In the code, we follow one path. It's not like there's different if statements. These are, whenever this is called, this is also called, which means that size should equal this. So we can actually remove that. Data hold. Index should be... Okay.
So because I'm splitting things into two, I had like constant split amount of 2, like that integer I did at the top. So the string array would always be double the size of the amount of tuples. So
what's being held in this string array?
That's where all the strings are being held. So the string for the company name and the company country.
Oh, okay, okay. So this is
It could be named a lot better.
I'm just wondering how we're using this, because it seems like we already read in the values for let me just format this quickly. It seems like we already read in the values of the CSV here, right? So I'm just wondering if we have this companies should contain this, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Company pair. Data hold. I guess we'll see how this comes in later, but comparing.
Well, later I use it to split the string, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Final comparator. Comparing.get value. Comparator. Yes. Okay. I like this. This is good. Generally, I think that's just pretty. There's different ways to do that, but you're using comparators, which I think is great.
Hello? Can you hear me? Have you my internet cut?
No,
oh, okay, that's cool. It cut temporarily. I've got a pretty bad net.
Okay. Yeah, so I think this is good. I like this. I mean, obviously there are changes that have been made, but using a comparator is very good practice, and there's no point in writing our own sort. It's really stupid to do that, I think. Like
I looked into writing the sorts, and then I saw how like complicated they were, and I was like, I'm not sure about this.
Yeah. So while companies don't get y to string array of string split amount.
So the pair list always has a equals in it because it's like a 2D array almost.
Okay.
This value is equal to this, so I could split it by the equals and then have the company name and the company country.
Company name. Okay. I'm wondering because it seems again to me it seems like companies already contains this, right? So I'm not entirely sure. This is splits the pair list into 2 strings while keeping their bond value. Yeah. Okay. So you're like creating. I think I see. So
then when.
Yeah. But this, I wish I could run this because of the pair. I wish I could quickly.
This one and then this 2 separate strings.
I'm quickly gonna see if I can get pair so I can run this because it seems like things. No libraries found. I won't add JavaFX now. It might take too long. But
Okay.
it seems like
I didn't add any like outside libraries. I think it was part of what I had.
yeah. Well, some people like maybe your IntelliJ comes with default Java effects, but I might have clicked off
Okay.
to not.
I thought, yeah, maybe so.
Yeah. I think this won't be correct because if we're making strings that hold the companies and the countries, the amount of tuples, I believe, that was basically this could be replaced with to make this clearer for us now. Companies.size. Because I think those were the same thing. So this is how many companies we've actually got. So timesing it by the split amount would mean there was 2 times as much. If I'm mistaken, unless we're like data hold a. Right.
But then there's 2 because we have 2 strings, right? It takes up the.
But it's a single dimensional array though, right? And if we're writing it to a result file of the length of like the length of the result file should be the length of the input file, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it should. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if we're reading every line of the input file with companies.size, then we're timesing it by 2, and our data hold will be twice as long as the actual input file. So I'm going to propose something different after this, because I think at this point we already... Oh, I don't know where you have your writing, where you actually write to the file. Here's your buffer
It's the last loop, yeah.
Yeah, so I think we can actually just... I will get rid of... Obviously this is not affecting it, but I will get rid of that for now, because I think we can do this in a more simple way, where we can just iterate through our pairs. Amount of tuples...
I had -2 because there was the 2 column names.
For no, that makes sense.
I was supposed to remove them from the array, but I forgot.
What we could actually do here is we could have... Now we can get rid of a few more things to make this simple. Where is split amount used? I'm just trying to clear this up. So I don't think this is used. So I'm trying to show a more sort of simple solution here. Where is this first used? While. I noticed we're using when we're using while loops to go through iteration, right? This is usually what we'd use, like a for-i to do this, right?
Yeah. Is there any benefits of doing it over a while loop?
Yeah, I mean, a while loop gives you more kind of flexibility in the... Actually, does it? No. I mean, while loops are generally for, like, non-deterministic kind of loops. So what I mean by non-deterministic is we don't know exactly when we're going to break. We don't know how many items we're going to process. So we might have,
while A is in B.
Yeah, or like for instance here, when we read it in, we do like while read line dot has line, right? So like while we have a line, we keep reading. So that's when we use a while. But because like the I value here, I'll change this to when we actually. Where is this used? Split amount plus. I don't know where this I value is actually, but I think the I value should be, in theory, as far as I'm concerned, the same value as companies. So I'm going to propose a kind of an alternate loop here. So if we do companies, if we iterate through each company, I change it to pair. I should change this back to pair for the sake of. I don't want to work on uneven footing, even though that's not in my. So now we're just going over every company, right? And with this, we can kind of, assuming these are ordered, and these are only these will only be ordered in terms of the pair.get value. Yeah. So these will only be ordered in terms of the country, right?
Yeah.
And ideally, we'd like them ordered in terms of the value as well. So that gets a bit more complicated, but we can look into this again because I think we should probably try and give this a try with using some of the new stuff.
Yeah. Was it? I didn't see in the list of things to do to also organize the companies by name as well.
I don't know. Maybe that's what I did with the other the person I did this task with. So before,
I might have misread it.
Let me quickly read through it to No, you're correct. It says the country should be in alphabetical order. Well, let's add an extension to Actually, no, that's fine. No, let's leave that for now. That's not an issue. So I'm just quickly changing the name of this comparator to so country comparator, and then using This is really good, but I don't know if we know where this is good. So I'll put this in here and then so your output, so writer, new writer, file writer, where is this declared? Yes, I see, okay. This is fine, and then we will do, now we should do something simpler because we know we've already got company, so we can just do company dot get, wait, it's a pair. Oh, okay, but I assume you have, sorry, I just realized because it won't give me the options because I haven't got the,
I don't know if you can get key.
Okay, well, there's presumably an option in pair where we can get first value. I don't know what. Let me quickly Google this. I'm sure, I don't use pair, but.
I think I tried this. This was the initial thing I tried. Let me see if I can do it. So
Java fx pair key.
I can just get the index, so I can get whatever the first or second pair is. But I can't get the key, it doesn't seem. I think I have to put them into a set to do that.
To string hash code. No, you can get key. I just looked it up.
Oh.
So here's.
I'm not getting the option to do it.
Here's an interesting link. This is the official documentation of it. And
yeah.
And then there's get key and get value, the same as an entry set from a map.
Mm. Yeah, that's what I mean. I think it has to be in a set though, no? Because I just tried it now in my IDE with JavaFX.
It has to be. Well, this method is on the pair itself, right? So you can't do on the list of pairs. You can't do get key, but on the actual pair itself, you should be able to do get key.
Oh yeah, I understand what you mean now. Yeah, I was trying to do it on the whole thing. Yeah.
So even though it's going to be red in my IntelliJ, I'm going to do this. So now we have company get key. And
yeah, it works. I just tried it. Sorry.
Yeah. No worries. And then we have get value. So I will also, once again, it's the same sort of practice, just introduced over and over again. Introduce constant, and then we'll call this delimiter for the.
Okay.
And so you can see how this would, if we were to change this pair. So this is how we would do it your way, right? And then we can get rid of this while loop. I think one thing to look out for that will help you a lot in kind of understanding is these loops. I think keeping track of how large something is we should usually, if we're building a collection, we should just be able to do that in the collection. We shouldn't need an external value to track the size of the collection.
Okay.
The collection, because
that makes sense.
The collection has its own, and this way, for example, if I forget to increment the I value, but I add an item to our collection, then they're going to be off sync, and we could run into errors. Whereas if I'm always getting that size value from the collection itself, I'll never be going out of bounds on the collection because I'm getting the value from the collection itself. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that, and then file writer, output file, and once again I'm going to move this, and I will go. I think we'll do a second review because there's still some stuff that we can look into that will be really helpful and it's good for practice.
That's cool.
So, and I don't want to overload you with everything at once because that's going to be really. Okay, and then I'm going to change the input file. Now this isn't actually perfect, but for now it will be fine. Okay, input file, output file. There we go, and then this. Oh, I need to delete these. And this should go. Yeah, that's fine. Tuples. Again, I'm trying to minimize the distance between use and declaration and use.
Yeah.
So, company new tuple. So, there we go, and that should actually work. And I will quickly just change this to see how it would be easier if we actually had company. But we could also look into the idea of using, because if we just have company here, this is kind of fine. But then every time, so let me just get up an example here. So let's say in our instance, we only have I don't know how many, like 50 or 100 companies, right? So every time we add a new company, we sort every company, right? So if we have 100 pairs, so 100 list. So this is when it lists. So 100 pairs, we have to sort 100 pairs. We sort 100 pairs, right? So this data is actually from a data set that has 4 million records. So with a list, if we have, this would be an irresponsible way to do it, but it's just for the example. We have 4 million pairs, right? Then we sort 4 million pairs, which is not great. That takes a long time.
Yeah.
So all we're actually sorting by is the country. So if we use a map that has, string.
We only have to sort the second half.
Yeah, exactly. And this is, but in our instance, we're going to have like, this value is the country.
Yeah.
Right.
So it'd be 2 million instead of 4.
Well, it's not even that. It's much better because how many countries do we have? Well, even if we have 4 million records, right?
Okay, there might be only 10 countries.
Yeah, exactly. If there's only 20 countries, we're only sorting 20 records. Right? Because we're like that's the only information we care about. And when we have this in a list, we have the same information duplicated over and over and over and over and over. And then when we go to sort it, it's like, okay, I need to look at everything because it doesn't know, you're telling it to sort by that, but when we have a map, it's automatically, that value is only stored once, so we don't have to...
Yeah. And because in this task, we only really care about the country, not the actual company name.
Exactly,
so
yeah.
It's, yeah.
But that's...
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Cool. So... Yeah, I think there's some stuff to work with. I'll kind of I don't want to just send you the exact code. I'd rather you kind of like if cool. You've got the concepts down and I'll get this video up so you can go through it again. If there's any questions about the concepts, we can talk about it next time, or you can email me or fucking Discord message me or whatever's easiest.
Right. Yeah, as long as the video's up, because obviously I couldn't see all the syntax today because the issues we're having with the computer.
Yeah.
But, the video will be clear, so that'll be grand. Could we quickly go over that little program I made?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, it's just a tiny one. I just wanted to do something like
as
well as this, where I actually put everything in classes correctly.
Yeah. Okay.
And see if I was doing that correctly. So that's something I worry about a lot is when I shouldn't put stuff in classes, and if I'm using classes correctly.
Yeah. So let me quickly get up to that. I've got the sheet music for the USSR theme.
Oh, yeah.
it keeps going back to it, and I'm like, YouTube, I'm not a fucking tanky. Please do not judge me as such.
So should we say Fridays? When are you not as busy on the weekend? On the weekend, probably.
I'm pretty busy all the time, but I can usually make time within 2 days.
Okay, cool. Well, I have a weekday. We have a bank holiday on Friday.
Yeah,
so
I've had a bank holiday today actually. So
oh yeah, it's nice, bro.
It's Liberation Day.
Got my USSR music ready for Liberation Day. But yeah, I'll probably be done by Friday, I imagine. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm cool. I'll message you on the day when I'm done, and then we can.
And also, like, I don't want you to be. If you want to do work and you're sitting around like waiting for me to review something, just let me know, and I'll see if Hopefully, there's something I can set up. So I don't want you to be waiting around to do work if you want to, basically.
Well, I'm trying to like actively program daily, and that's why I did this little BMI task. I got one of those, images, and it's like, hey, roll a dice and then choose one of these programming tasks.
Yeah. Okay.
I got the BMI calculation, which was very simple.
Okay. Main. Okay. And then BMI calculation.
See, these are so similar that I was like, surely there's a better way I could have done this, because the difference is one of them has like plus 700 or something like that. I forget.
Oh yeah, 703. Well, let's look through how we can do that now. So if everything's the same, and all that changes is this, right?
Yeah, so I could have a constructor.
Well, actually, this changes too.
Yeah, because the second one doesn't need.
Okay, so do I want to? That's a bit overly complicated. There is a nice way to do this, but let's, for this sake, just create a new private method here. Private static double, and instead of calling this BMI metric, I prefer to call this. I think you're almost there. Like calculate BMI metric.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, for now, let's do it metric for now, but there's actually something I want to do that would make it, I think, nicer. Because then it's like, calculate is like the verb, right? I like naming methods with verbs because it's like telling me what it's doing. Imperial. Okay, so everything is repeated except for these two, basically. So if I copy this, this is the line that is different. Oh shit. No. Oh, fucking hell, my PC's slow as fuck. It's fine. Okay. And this is good. You've done the static thing here. So I guess that's just because it's from, I don't know if that was just because it was from main, but...
yeah, I thought it could be static because it was only referenced once.
Yeah. BMI. This is imperial.
Thinking about it, couldn't I have just done a...
I don't know why this is... It's giving me an issue with your packages. I'm gonna... Oh, it's not here for me. Okay. There we go.
I haven't done much with packages before. At the moment, I think it's just my like local namespace, which is company for some reason. But is it important to have like unique packages?
I mean, well, you should just keep our package unique in terms of like it's just how we're referencing things.
Yeah.
Only makes sense if in terms of the packages, right? That's just how we import things.
Okay.
So, calculate BMI metric. Okay, these are also the same, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Just with a little bit of.
So let's first of all let's generify this. So calculate BMI. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just return calculate BMI. Wait, height, and then I'm going to add another because the code is repeated. Well, basically what we want is we want this code, but we want a new path where something different happens. Right? So oh, actually, height squared. No, we could do this in a better way. I'll do it the simple way, and then I'll build up. So height, and then I'm just going to pass in true. And I'm going to add a new boolean here for is metric. And then double BMI 0 if is metric, do metric, right, so I'm declaring it out of the scope here, and then I'm just going to, if it's imperial, do imperial, if it's metric, do metric.
Yeah.
And I'm going to change this to BMI, because I want to use this thing we've already declared outside of the scope. I've changed these to weight, height, and then this is now redundant, so we can just return, right? Then that's returning, and then from here, you can then delete that. I can then delete that, and all we're changing is that false. Oh, this needs to. Cool. Okay, so that should still work. And then what I like even more, do you know what an enum is?
An enumeration?
Yeah.
Yeah, we use them at, well, yeah, I know what they are. They use them at work, but I don't get to mess around with them because I don't work backend.
Okay, so I'm going to create an enum here. Basically, an enum is a finite number of specified things. So you're like creating your own types. Basically, you're saying that like instead of saying is metric, what we're going to do is we're going to create a measurement system. And I could get really fancy. I could keep going iteration after iteration until this is really fancy, but I don't want to overload everything. So fucking okay, buddy. Then we're just going to have imperial and metric. Then what I can do is I can pass in a measurement system. Measurements. Measurement. And instead of doing is metric here, I can do measurement. Oh yeah, equals metric. So here, and then instead of even needing this anymore, right? Because all we're doing now is we're calling calculate BMI, but we're just passing in the values, right? So what's even the point, right? So what we could do is we could just replace that. Okay, I'll iterate through this because I don't want to basically do everything at once and be like, you know, you blink, you're like, wait, what the fuck? Where am I? So user weight, user height, and then for this we want imperial, right? So we've declared this new type, and we can access this here. And then when we reference it from like it looks like it's from a static context, right? We're just saying measurement system imperial, and then we want to do the same here. We want to change that too. And then the reason why this is better than doing a boolean is because then if we get a third measurement system, I know in this instance it's maybe not that realistic, but here then
you can just add another one.
Then we can just add another one. And
so is an enumerator literally just like a global?
It's like basically giving a name to a number, right? It's like when we say enum, it's like imperial. Let's say it's 0 and metric is 1.
1, yeah.
But instead of having to create, because we could create fake enums by doing like private int imperial equals 0, right? And then we could just put imperial here. But instead, it's like letting us, lets us have this like thing where it's just named and it's already set up for us. We don't have to implement it ourselves. And then, because these are already very similar, right? In terms of... So what we could then do further is... Oh no, don't worry. I thought it was going to generify it for me. Is we could then do... user answer... no, we could do measurement system equals... Do you know what a ternary what's it called? Ternary operator is, or should I just do an if statement?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I haven't done a ternary. I think I've done them in the past, but
I'll keep it as an if statement to make things. So user answer if you.
Oh yeah, I know what a ternary operator is. Yeah,
okay,
we
cool.
use these at work a lot in C#. So
okay,
it's,
if that's the
question
case,
mark and then a 2.
I will.
So.
Keep this clearer, so...
the way I think of a ternary operator when I use them at work is like, if this is true, then do this, else this.
Yeah, basically.
So, but whenever I say that at work, people call me like names.
Okay.
Like it's not an if-else statement. I'm like, well,
it is an if-else.
Like...
It's explicitly an if-else statement. Like.
Yeah, I don't know. They've done their programming themselves, but.
Yeah. I'm just trying to click user answer. Okay, so. I'm also going to change this name to user answer. So this is a ternary operator in Java, right? So user answer dot. I'm inverting this just to be. This is better practice. So usually what we do is we would say user answer equals I, right?
Yeah.
But it's better practice to do this basically, because this is still a string, so you can still call equals on it.
Okay.
And what happens is if user answer equals null, this doesn't have a problem.
Oh, but if it is the other way around, it would.
If it was the other way around, then there'd be a null pointer exception, because
yeah.
we'd be calling null.equals, and null doesn't have a method called equals.
We're calling I here.
Yeah,
I see.
So if we do it that way, we won't have an issue. So if it equals that, then we can have imperial dot metric, and we store this value. Then we can. Again, this is supposed to just like illustrate how things could work, basically. Right? I know this isn't.
No, this is the kind of stuff I like. I like seeing how I could do stuff better, because then when I'm thinking about doing something, my mind goes more towards this than just doing really basic ifs and while loops. And
so what we've done is we basically, all the switch statement was doing was determining this value now, right? It was it was determining whether we,
doing
that this or that. Yeah, and then what we can actually do is. Okay, this is like. Then what we could do is we could change it so they actually just input imperial or metric, and then it's even easier. And this will throw an error if they don't input that. I'm just for this sake just showing some stuff you can do. So with the measurement system, you can basically get a value of this, and in the user answer in a happy flow. We can just do this, right? Use weight. So this is basically just converting that answer, and when we do value of, it will convert it to, if it's imperial, it will get imperial. If it's metric, it will get metric.
Cool.
And so there we go. We've simplified the program.
A lot.
Yeah, and there is actually the further ways to. But hopefully, again, now if this is like too much, I'm happy to. But
no, this is good. I understand that the reason I like this and this process is I can easily Google something like, how to make this better, and then someone on bloody Stack Overflow will like just give you scripts and be like, oh, do this.
Yeah.
But they never explain it.
Yeah.
But because you're doing it, you're thinking about it aloud. Yeah. It's. I understand.
Well, hopefully, obviously, I don't think after this you'll be able to do all of this straight away. But hopefully, next time the situation arises, you'll be like, oh, okay, this seems like something an enum would work with. How do I use an enum? And then you can look it up.
And when I understood the concept of enums after you explained them and gave the demonstration, I'm instantly thinking about stuff I did yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I could have done it here and here. And that's really what it is. Because sometimes you Google some programming concepts or syntax, and it's really hard to. There's a lot of like word soup.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, but once you see it in action, it's a lot easier to understand. I don't know if that's because I learn a different way.
Yeah, I think I had the same thing. I think it's kind of just like the people on Stack Overflow are answering for people they like. They're answering assuming you already have like been programming in Java for like 3 or 4 years, basically.
Yeah.
And that's obviously not the case. But like for example, I asked C# questions after using Stack Overflow for Java for a long time, and I was like asking the most dumb stuff because I don't know about C#, and it has like a different memory system, and then people just like downvoting me, and I was like, wait, I'm answering, I'm asking a genuine question, and it's my fault obviously, but it just doesn't feel great to be like you're asking for help. You're not like I'm the smartest guy ever. You're just asking for help, saying how do I get this working? People are like, you should, yeah. Anyway, hopefully this has been helpful. I'll get this uploaded. It'll probably take a while, obviously, because it's a long video, but
yeah, that's cool.
I think this works if you want to do like instead of because with some people it's more of an off and on thing throughout the week. But if I'd rather just do like one sort of 40-minute to an hour call once a week and to talk through things.
Yeah. So do you think we'll talk again next?
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Well, I can do this weekend, or like I'm not specifically 1 week. I'm not super.
Yeah, I mean it just depends how long it takes me, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
and obviously how much time you've got, because I won't mind doing it again this weekend. And then say if the task was a bit harder and it took me a bit longer, then like a whole week.
Yeah. So let's try.
Yeah, it's cool. I enjoyed it, bro. I was a bit anxious about it before, to be honest. I was like, fuck. I'm not sure how I feel about this. Getting bullied on the internet.
Oh yeah.
On the internet,
yeah.
But
I mean, yeah.
No, it's good. It's helping me. It's making me learn a lot.
It's basically just the process of like code review, right? This is what code. If you're at a good company, they'll do this kind of thing where there's just a more sort of senior person sits down and they just talk through things. Because that happened to me at my internship. I was with a really good developer, and I mean he was more of the kind of bullying me type, but yeah. But I think it's super helpful to learn, and that's like I didn't know any of this stuff before I went into my internship. Basically, I was just using array lists for everything. So anyway, yeah, I hope this is helpful. I'll stop the recording now and I'll get this uploaded.
Yeah, that's definitely, mate. Thanks a lot.